Yeah.
And you'll know you're talking because I have captions enabled.
Action. Good evening and welcome to the January 22nd, 2025 meeting of the Town of Gray Zoning Board of Appeals. I will start with my usual appeal that anybody in the Town of Gray that would like to make use of Gray Community Television, you can do it at no cost. The station manager will help you do that. If you have a political program you want to do or an environmental program, a gardening, home crafting program that you want the people of Gray to know about, then you can use Gray Community Television, again, at no charge to you as long as you are a resident or a nonprofit organization within the Town of Gray. That being said, roll call. Georgia.
Here.
Derek.
Here.
Anthony.
Here.
Fogg is here. Did you all get the meetings of the last agenda? The last
Yes.
meeting? I did not receive a.
They
package
came in the mail.
Yeah,
I didn't-
on the back one.
Okay, I didn't get a package in the mail yet, but
No?
that's not saying that the mail service has been great lately either. So is there a motion to accept the meetings of the meeting of November 20th, 2024?
Wasn't here, so I,
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? It is unanimous. There we go. New business is Stephen H. and Terry L. Souchek are requesting a practical difficulty variance from the standards established in the zoning ordinance to reduce a 50-foot required front setback down to 47 feet in order to build an addition to the structure located on their property at 19 Gray Park, Gray Tax Map 035-403-012 in a Wellhead Protection 2 zoning district. Let's open the public hearing. Who's here to represent the Soucheks? Tell us what's going on.
Well, we have a house with an attached breezeway to a garage. Breezeway is currently on wooden posts, which were built that way, I guess sometime in the 50s. Needless to say, over time it has shifted, and depending on the season and the weather, you can either open the doors going into it or you can't open the doors going into it. And she is starting to settle on one end. There's a plywood floor in it, which sections have been replaced near the door where water gets in. So we've decided to put a cross wall underneath it and build it into a room, basically expanding the kitchen so we can put a kitchen table out there. Right now, it's only, you should call it a 3-season. It's not heated or anything like that. We'd like to make it part of the kitchen. And where it has to be ripped up with a post to put a frost wall in anyway, we thought, well, if we go forward 3 feet, that'll give us a little more room. It's like a galley kitchen. It'll give us room to put a full-size kitchen table in there. Make a bigger kitchen.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Yeah. Okay, let's look at the criteria. We have, as you read on the back of the form, which you filled out, there are 5 different criteria with a lot of considerations for the zoning board to look at below that. Criteria A.
I think I'm missing a bat.
Like,
Upside this. Yeah, we're missing some of them missing.
Yeah, I'm missing the back page. Do you want to make copies? Oh,
Yeah, please. You want to get mine?
Well, mine seems to go on two different pages.
does everybody have this page here?
Not the page I need.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'll go and make four.
Okay, let's do that. I've got one. Look at it all.
I'll be right back.
We will pause temporarily while we get the paperwork.
Paper, approve it.
It would be nice to say that but by state statute, we are required to look at each one of those 5 items and then we're required to look at the next.
3 feet of them.
Well, that and the next 8, we're supposed to consider the next 8 items also in the gray area on your form.
Yeah.
There's a stunned silence amongst the crowd.
We're just used to having to try to do anything in the town of Gray.
That's
We've always been so.
lots.
Well, we do try to follow the format. Had pretty good training on this from the Municipal Association and the town's corporation council.
I'm not picking on you guys. It's just this. No worries. This,
Yeah, they're trying
You guys want coffee? Could you have
water
coffee?
issue
to.
that was never
Thank
an issue. When these houses were built. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, everybody gets penalized.
Well, in this particular area, the racehorses and sulkies are gone. In this particular area, the racehorses and sulkies are gone.
Good.
So that's good.
Yes.
Okay, does everybody have the format?
Yes.
Okay, letter A. We need to consider if the need for the variance is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not to the general condition of the neighborhood. And your response has been the addition falls short of the required setback, but that wouldn't be unusual, would it, in the neighborhood, or is the?
I don't believe so. Not a Gray Park.
No, I mean, if
You know Gray Park.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
2 feet or 3 feet.
3 feet.
So is the uniqueness of the situation because of the age of Gray Park and that it's an old racetrack and you couldn't build farther back, or you couldn't build closer, or the previous owner couldn't build closer to the street?
The house itself on the map, and according to the tax records here, that the lot line to the front of the house is 35 feet, which I guess at the time that they built them, that was what was required, because most of the houses in the neighborhood are that. So that when they put the breezeway and the garage on, whenever, it is further back than 35 feet, but in measuring it out, when we went to do the change, when I had the builder come out and looked, he checked and he goes, Gray now requires a 50-foot setback. I don't know when that was changed or anything else. So he said, before I could do anything, you'd have to go in and see if you can get a variance to bring it forward that additional 2 or 3 feet.
How far is that breezeway from the rear lot line?
The rear lot line, I don't. Didn't measure it.
I'm not sure that we need to consider that, so let's.
Well, I mean, there's
leave that
no
off.
other place.
But let's leave that off the table for right now. Anybody have any questions on letter A?
Not this time.
I would make a motion that the need for the variance is due to the unique circumstances of the property and not to the general condition of the neighborhood, based upon the age of the neighborhood, the type of development that Gray Park was when it was first built, and that the requirements for the building lot size and setbacks have changed over the years, uncontrollable by the applicant. Is there a second?
Georgia Woodbury, I second.
Any discussion?
I'll just throw in, I can wrap my head around that because, you know, being old time, you have to update it at some point, you know what I mean? So it does make sense to me. It's unique enough that it's like, well, what are you gonna do? Just let it, like, kind of like you said, you have to rot in the ground. So, I do understand that point of view, why that'd be unique, because not everyone's house is the age that your property is, per se.
Okay, are there any comments from the public?
Go away.
All those in favor of letter A? It's unanimous. Letter B, the granting of a variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not unreasonably detrimentally, wow, that's a big word, detrimentally affect the use or market value of abutting properties. And the applicant has answered that the change will not affect the current appearance of the home, property, or neighborhood. Does anybody have any questions?
I don't.
Is everybody familiar with Gray Park or where it is?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I would agree with that. I mean, it's a nice neighborhood. There's not gonna be any more building of homes in that neighborhood. There's no space to do it. I mean, it's a nice, my opinion anyway, a nice neighborhood with it's just not gonna be
It's not gonna be overdeveloped again.
overdeveloped, and this isn't really impacting the appearance of the neighborhood in any way.
No.
But it's improving the quality of the home itself.
Mhm.
Is there a motion?
Georgia Woodbury, I move that the granting of a variance will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood and will not unreasonably, detrimentally affect the use or market value of the abutting properties.
Is there a second?
Derek Shirley, I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor of letter B? Unanimous. Letters C, the practical difficulty is not the result of action taken by the petitioner or a prior owner. The applicant has answered, would like to put solid foundation under the current structure, and so doing would like to move front wall out 3 feet. Does anybody have any questions of the applicant? I would like to make note that in this particular case, adding that 3 feet to the front of the breezeway still leaves approximately 42, 43 feet from the front of the proposed addition to the street line, which is significantly less from a contractor's point of view than the front of the house is now. Right. And very honestly, I don't understand, Joe, why we would need to worry too much about 3 feet at that point in time.
Only if it was coming forward closer than the current structure.
That's what I was thinking. It's not
Right,
coming
right.
beyond the current structure. So it would almost be like if somebody built a house that was, I'm not sure how long your house is, or 32 or 38 or 40 feet originally.
3 feet sufficient for you?
3 feet?
Are you?
Yeah, I measured out there. The reason I went with that, in talking with some people, they say, well, why don't you try to go to the front of the house?
Yeah.
But on that side, in front of the breezeway, on the side of the house, we do have a window for the living room, window well for the basement, and our oil fill pipes and everything are down there.
Okay.
So measuring it out, 3 feet still gives me space between the front window and the basement window, and the oil tank fill.
Is there a, Georgia?
The only question I had, and I had it as I was reading this whole thing, is what type of a foundation are you looking to put under this breezeway?
Cinder block.
Okay,
Cinder block.
that's what I was wondering, but that's what I thought, yeah.
I don't want to go with post again.
A footing?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Footing and cinder block?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Well, we give him a little bit of a buffer. So instead of just going to 47, we'll just go down to 40 so that he has some room in case something changes. He doesn't have to come back and do this over again.
Well, he's already said that he's got windows and utility right there on the side of the house that he doesn't want to cover up.
6 inches. to the-
Between them and
It gives me 6 inches to the basement window. Living room windows about 2 feet, the other side of that basement window.
yes, and not gonna want to go.
And if I took the window out and went out further, the oil
The old type.
bills right there too.
Yeah.
So 3 feet.
So 3 feet's fine. Okay.
Is there a motion?
Derek Shirley motions that the practical difficult variance is not the result of action taken by the petitioner or prior owner.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. I would add as one of our considerations is that based on the age of the structure, I'm gonna guess 50 years anyway,
Yeah.
if not 60.
70.
Yeah.
70. built-
Okay, 1950s,
Yeah.
that the in-ground wood construction, it probably wasn't preserved as well, and the structure is failing as a result of that prior construction. And that was something that's uncontrollable by the prior owner and the building process at the time.
It's gonna be safer for them to be able to open that door.
Exactly.
when needed.
Right.
In all weather.
Okay,
Yeah.
all those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. Letter D, no other feasible alternative to a variance is available to the petitioner. You've indicated the change would be made between existing home and garage.
I wasn't quite sure what you were looking for.
Well, would it be possible just to remove the current footings and put a frost wall where the current footings are?
Yes. I could do that, but like I said, we're going to the expense to put it under there. Jacking it up isn't really an option because we thought of that and building a frost wall under it and just lowering it back on it. But the breezeway is currently attached to the house and the garage. And the way it was added in, it's kind of like you come out of the kitchen, you go down 3-4 inches, then you go up 3-4 inches on the other end into the garage.
Now, is the garage on a slab or
Or on a slab.
so the frost wall really is going to reinforce preventable or make preventable, so how am I trying to word this? Because of the frost wall strengthening the breezeway
He's gonna.
is more likely to prevent separation of the breezeway from the garage if the
Yeah.
slab shifts.
Yeah.
That's
He
what
said
I'm
what he
looking
would do instead of putting in just front and back, he said you would have to put one cross between the breezeway and the garage. Because that is just on a slab, and he goes, if you got just the 2 walls to attach it,
Oh.
you've got to run something back.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I motion no other feasible alternative to a variance is available to the petitioner.
Is there a second?
Georgia Woodbury, I second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Letter E is the granting of a variance will not unreasonably adversely affect the natural environment. Petitioner's respondent does not require removal of trees or affect any buffer zones. No clearing is required. You know, I would simply say that, being familiar with Gray Park, it's on my bike route, my walk route. There's some neighbors over there that I talk to once in a while. And it's a nice appearing neighborhood, and I don't think that this renovation in any way is going to impact any part of the environment over there.
No.
I mean, there are no springs, there are no rivers. It's not going to impact, you're on public water, right?
Yep.
So it's not going to affect anybody's wells or, okay. I would make the motion that the granting of a variance will, I said that, didn't I?
Yeah, I was gonna mention.
Okay,
Derek Shirley motions that the granting of a variance will not unreasonably adversely affect the, natural environment.
Fogg will second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? It's unanimous. Letter F, the criteria, the property is not located in whole or part within the shoreland areas as described in Title 38, Section 435. We know by the tax map and the zoning that this is not. All those who agree with letter F. Determines by vote that letter F is not applicable or is applicable, but not in the shoreland area. Okay, now as we look down through letters A through H, board members, is there anything there? We've determined it's not going to affect the prevailing appearance or character of the area. There's no proposed requirement for special screening or fencing to separate the property.
No, I don't see anything on this
We
list.
don't see any, it's not going to create a drainage or erosion problem. It's probably going to fix an erosion or drainage problem.
I mean, I guess the only one we can like truly look at would be letter G, right? Will this proposed variance create any degree of nuisance to the abutting owners? And though they're not here, I don't think so. You know what I mean?
Well, the groundhogs will have to go find a new place.
I know. But out of all the things on the list, if I had to pick one to ask, that'd be the one I would ask. But
Okay, does anybody see any special conditions that we want to attach to this appeal?
No, that's what I was just gonna say. I don't even see any reasonable conditions that would need to be attached. My
And
opinion.
I think that it certainly is the least modification of the zoning regulations necessary to afford the appeal, so we're all set there. Okay, yeah, the main motion. Does anybody want to read that and make a motion?
yeah, I'll go ahead and read this. Derek Shirley motions Stephen H. and Terry L. Souchek. Requesting a practical variance from the standards established in the zoning ordinance to reduce a 50-foot square, 50-foot requirement front setback down to a 47 in order to build an addition to the structure located on their property at 19 Gray Park, Gray Tax Map 03540301200 in a Wellhead Protection Zone 2 zoning district.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? Simply say that the previous 5 criteria being met, given due diligence and discussion, and we should pass this motion. All those in favor of the motion? It's unanimous. Ingrid Connors and the town office will get this typed up before next Wednesday, when she'll call Bradley or George to come in and sign it, and we'll sign it and give it out to her. They'll probably give you a call to say, come pick this up. So that it can be done.
Well, look for that one on the email, not like the one I got yesterday.
Oh, okay.
I called Inga yesterday, so I got an email, town of Gray letterhead and everything else. Dick Webster or something.
Doug Webster.
Signed it. Official emblem of town of Gray, and it reads through and it says you have one more thing to do before your zoning board meeting tomorrow night. Please wire us the funds immediately to proceed.
Oh,
I was like, what? And I went to the ad, $22,500.
What? Pardon?
That's
how much?
It said that I owe them $22,500 before they could proceed, and then I gave a little breakdown.
Yeah,
planning board has to come out and look, that's $5,200, and you guys were.
Yeah, I meant to let I wanted to let all of you know that,
I got on the phone and
is that if anybody receives if you hear of anybody receiving any emails like that saying that they owe money or anything, tell them to call us, because this was actually really, really good. It looked very legitimate. It had a breakdown.
Really?
All of our fees, the thing that stood out is when it said wire money to this location. Other than that, it was really.
Yeah, the
Wow.
application's fee is only $500, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
which I already paid.
right.
What's that?
I called Inga and I said, I don't
It had
understand.
language from our CBA advertisement. It had something from it's Doug Webster, who's the planner. It was signed by him. It was a very legitimate, believable email. So I would recommend that if you hear of anybody getting anything like that from the town, you have them call us and ask if it's real. Because
We need to
unfortunately,
post that on Facebook.
it's only gonna get worse. And we are gonna put something out on social media, but these are gonna continue to happen. They get better and better every day.
Oh, yeah, they're.
They get more believable, more legitimate, and
Anybody that asks you for money upfront.
we're gonna report it to whoever we can, impersonating a public official, which is what these people did, is against the law.
Right.
But based on the fact that it's, the AI generated thing, it's probably very unlikely that we're gonna find out who did this.
Wow.
Before we
You
close
must
it,
fall under your chair.
then before we close tonight's meeting, we'll, again, Tammy Munson, the code enforcement officer, brings to our attention, as did the applicant, that they received an email generated by artificial intelligence, allegedly from the town of Gray, which superimposed an unrealistic. Any email you get from the town of Gray requesting money be wired to a certain address, call the town office, the code enforcement officer, before you wire or send any money electronically to anybody. I mean, the town office is 657-3339. Call, ask the code enforcement just to check. We don't want anybody losing funds that they might not ever be able to recover as a result of phishing, if you will, or scamming. Is there any other business before the zoning board of appeals tonight?
Wondering if you can add to the public meetings, both planning board, ZBA, town council, just a statement at every meeting that says these scams are out there. Do not send any money unless you check with the town office.
Well, the zoning board of appeals will certainly do that, and Tammy will talk to the proper department heads to see if we
But
can't.
if somebody gets, if somebody's out sick or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that I think it's important to note is that the town of Gray does not take payments electronically. And we don't take payments over the phone or online. So if anybody asks you, which people would like us to, and most of them. We are not there.
Pay by tax bill electronically.
We are not there yet. So that's a big thing, is that asking stuff to be sent electronically. We don't have the capacity or the abilities to do that right now as well. So.
Okay, we do have a zoning board meeting in February.
Yeah.
And that's
26th.
part of that is a training session for us that Tammy's putting together.
Oh, nice.
So until February 26th,
That's what was.
we are adjourned.